Could the Leafs be dipping their toes into the goaltender trade market? Are we witnessing Toronto Maple Leafs history and William Nylander with a nice early Christmas gift for all of Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues. And guys, we've noticed that about 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you could do myself and the other content creators a favor and go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. All right, guys, let's get right into it. It was a great game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. All right, huge bounce back win considering what happened last game against the Buffalo Sabres. But yeah, like I said, huge bounce back win. They definitely needed this one, considering what happened last time against Columbus as well. Not a game you want to replicate, even though the comeback was pretty electric. You don't want to replicate going down 5-0. Not ideal whatsoever. And I want to get into the lineup because there were some lineup changes in this game. All right, first line notable change: Mitch Marner back with Auston Matthews and Matthew Nyes. Nylander goes back down to the second line with John Tavares. The rest of the lineup pretty much unchanged with the injuries and all of that. We've seen the bottom six look the same for a bit now. And then on defense, no Timmins. I haven't been a big fan of Timmins, and I've seen some of your responses. Yes, he did have a point streak and all that good stuff. I just don't think his defensive game matches up to what he can produce offensively at the NHL level. And I think at times he can be a liability. But to get back to this, my boy Benoit back in the lineup tonight with Lagesson. I thought they were a good pairing tonight. I thought everyone played pretty good, especially Morgan Rielly, absolute horse. Then, of course, the goalies, you have to go back to Martin Jones, and we will get into that later in the video. All right, but one thing that I saw today, which I thought was great, is most disciplined in the NHL. There is, first of all, a trophy for it, and I think it should get recognized more often because it is a skill, considering you play that much and you don't take any penalties. And two Leafs are with that honor so far this season. It is Morgan Rielly and Auston Matthews. They've been the NHL's most disciplined players this year, based on ice time. Obviously, there's a couple other players on the list that have taken 0 penalty minutes as well. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's nice to mix it up sometimes, get a roughing penalty. But Morgan Rielly up there playing 738 minutes without a penalty, and considering how many takeaways Matthews has throughout the year as well, that is pretty impressive to not take a penalty. He has a great reputation around the league, and obviously, and a great goal scorer. So without further ado, it was a great game, 4-1 win, fantastic. Leafs back on track right before the Christmas break. They needed that, considering the just obscene, absurd, whatever you want to call it, embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Sabres. They needed to get back in the win column. But anyway, let's talk about Auston Matthews. All right, he is on absolute fire right now. This guy, there are no words to describe this guy. All right, I mean, we're going to dive right into some stats. You all know just by eye test how good this guy is, but we got to get into some stats to really, really see how good this guy is, all right? Auston Matthews scored again early in the game. He had 2 in this game, but he has goals in 7 straight games. He has 27 here, but he actually has 28 on the season now. Just insane. What is there to say about Auston Matthews? I mean, from Jonas Siegel, Auston Matthews has scored 25% of the Leafs' entire goals for the season. That is ridiculous. This guy has 25% of the entire team's goals. There's 28 of them. And he did miss a game due to illness, so he's only played 30 on the year. I believe tonight was his 30th game. He has 28 goals in those 30 games. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't remember. The last person to score at this clip was Auston Matthews in the COVID season, in the 2021 season. It's absurd. He's on pace, I think, for 74 goals so far this year. If he stays healthy and he continues to score at this clip, 74 goals. I think he'd be the first player in the modern era, at least, to hit 70 goals. Since probably the 90s, since like maybe Yager did it or Lemieux, one of those guys. I don't have the exact stat, but he would be one of, I think he would for sure be the first in the modern era, like the O.V. Crosby, those guys. For sure he'd be the first, which is a great accomplishment. Some more stats here. He extends his goal scoring streak to 7 games with his 27th and 28th on the season. Both beauties, by the way. Great goals. 5 of those 7s 7 games, are multi-goal games. He's on pace for 76 goals this season. Best goal scorer in the league, no debate, and that is true. Best goal scorer in the league, and I believe if he wouldn't have gotten injured last year, there was something bugging him. He would have been on pace for another 70, at least 60 again last season. He scored 40 in his sleep last year, and he was hurt. All right, so I think that's pretty good. And I have to praise his defensive play as well too, because he played. He had a couple takeaways in this game, which were great. He was all over the puck. The puck just seems to be finding him. Like the puck is moving for him. It seems like it's insane. But yeah, Auston Matthews, got to give praise on the defensive end of the ice. Like I said, a couple big takeaways. Back checking, breaking the puck out smoothly or breaking the puck out himself. The zone exits were great. The zone entries were great. Nylander's really good at zone entries if you want to take a look at him too as a great example. Matthews all over the ice tonight. A leader by example. Love players like that. Doug Gilmour, Matt Sundin, those types of players. Auston Matthews is that guy. Arguably better. Arguably the Toronto Maple Leafs GOAT. He just needs that Stanley Cup. And maybe a couple records to go with that, but he's going to break them in due time for sure. One scary thing I wanted to mention tonight, hope Sean Corrali's all right. Left the game, seemed kind of scary. Yeah, that's all I'll touch on that. I don't know too much about the injury or what's wrong with him, but a little scary. They were calling for the doctor, so hope he is all right. But to get back to the Leafs, then in the second period, John Tavares puts the defenseman in a spin cycle, like vintage John Tavares goal from like the Islanders days, tucks it right on the bar too. Chef's kiss. Mwah. Perfect. Like, man, that is the Tavares we know. Love that from Tavares. But everyone chipping in tonight. The big boys scoring, obviously Matthews on the board. I got to give some love to my boy Simone Benoit on the back end. I have loved what this guy has brought so far this season. This guy is awesome. He's just, he was clearing the puck off the goal line late in the game there when they were on the penalty kill, laying the boom all game. I don't know, he's just getting into it physically. He's nothing special, but it's just more of what the Leafs need. He brings what we've been asking for years. So love Simone Benoit's game. Bobby McMahon getting in people's faces, roughing it up a little bit. The Leafs are a little bit harder to play against this year. I'm liking it. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but they seem like they're a little bit hard to play against, all right? And last thing I'll mention is Järnkrok getting into it. Great individual effort at the end of the game, asserting himself, chipping the puck in, and drawing a penalty to just, pretty much kill off the rest of the game for the Leafs. I thought that was great as well. So good on Järnkrok for that. I've loved this play this year too. I thought he's been really good on the third line, and since the Leafs have signed him, he's played above my expectations for him. But really quick before we wrap up the video, I did want to talk about something pretty interesting with the Leafs now. They got a goaltending situation on their hands, all right? I think it's pretty interesting. They got 3 goaltenders, and I will happily rank them for you right now. Without injuries, it's Joseph Woll, it's Martin Jones, and then it's Ilya Samsonov. Ilya Samsonov has quickly become the Leafs' 3rd goaltender, all right? I think that's a problem. Either you look at trading him, maybe you can go to the Marlies on a conditioning stint. He needs to find his game mentally. I feel bad for him as a person. I hope he finds it. I like Ilya Samsonov. He was the first Leafs goaltender in 19 years to win a playoff series for this team, and I hope he finds it. I hope he figures it out. But he just isn't right now. Martin Jones looks a lot more steady in the net. He's a veteran. He's been to a Stanley Cup final, and he's showing it right now. I've liked his game so far. Obviously, his stats are weird, man. He has they look terrible on paper, but he wins games. And I think he actually holds the record for the worst save percentage, but most wins in a season last year with Seattle. I don't know how he's doing it, but keep winning, dude. Do you. But from Elliot Friedman, he says that the Leafs have dipped their toe into the goaltending trade market. Doesn't expect a move to be made urgently. There can't even be a move made now anyway with the holiday freeze on moves, or if at all. The team wants to work with Samsonov and see what some time off does before making future determinations. I think this is the way you go. Obviously, the skill is there with Samsonov, but right now he's ranked 3rd in my eyes in the Leafs goaltending depth chart. But I think he can figure it out. I think the skill is there, and you really, really hope he can figure it out. because at this point, if he doesn't, you just got to keep moving on. You got to do what's best for the team. But I think the skill's there. I think you can figure it out. Let me know in the comments what you think of Samsonov's play and if he can come back on top. I think the skill is there. He just has to figure out the mental part of the game. One last thing before we wrap up the video. Nylander parting the Leafs with a nice early Christmas gift. This guy's been unbelievable this year. He has at least a point in 28 of the 31 games. He got another point tonight with a nice shorthanded goal at the end. He has 2-point streaks this season of at least 11 games before the Christmas break. Not too shabby from William Nylander. So that is it for me, guys. I am Darius Domingues. This has been Leafs Digest. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Leafs heading into the Christmas break. I think they're doing pretty good, just a few points back of first in the Atlantic Division. They've been playing well, and this was a nice Christmas gift. So we will see you guys in the next video, and have a Merry Christmas.